This is Matt from Triathlon Coaching. You may find in your programs, or you will find in your programs, some strength and conditioning exercises. Now, from a triathlete's point of view, very commonly we come across athletes that are a little bit reluctant to hit the strength and conditioning sessions. After all, there's no swim, there's no bike, there's no run involved. Is it that important that we do it? Is it something that we can probably leave to the end of the week and then pass it on again? So what we find at TCUK is that our athletes that are most successful generally are the ones that have been very consistent with the training. And to be consistent with the training, they need to not develop big muscle imbalances or postural problems, which cause your muscles to work in ways that they shouldn't be. So they can generate injuries. And what we find is that the strength and conditioning is a really good way of reducing these muscle imbalances. It helps to lay the foundations for your muscles to work at their appropriate length and tension. And ultimately it helps you to stay consistent with your training. Now, so it's not just about reducing injury, but it's also about laying the foundations for performance. So you've got things like in our sessions, we break it down into 5 distinct parts. So initially we might want to release any tension or muscle spasm that might be in certain muscle groups. For example, if, like James and I, sat at the desk quite frequently through your day or commuting in your car, we get a bit tight through the hip flexors. The glutes on the opposing side are in a lengthened, weakened state. The neuromuscular link between your glutes and your brain is quite weak, and pretty much they're not really doing that much yet. Then when we start running or cycling, we need to recruit those muscles, yet funnily enough, the nervous system doesn't really want to communicate with them very effectively. So really important we take some tension out of things like the hip flexors or the calf muscles or the lats, etc. The next stage, we work into some release exercises and mobility. So mobilizing things like the pelvis and the spine. About 60-65% of injuries tend to stem from the spine and the pelvis. So really important areas, especially again if we've been sedentary during the day. Following on from that, you need to activate the deep lying muscles. So muscles that hold your spine in place and help stabilize that pelvis are really important to start switching on. So you need some core work, maybe some glute activation, a bit of activation through the rotator cuff, whatever it might be. We need to try and get these postural muscles kick-started. Following on from that, we might do some plyometric work as well, because we need to improve that neuromuscular link. So, for example, if you look at it from a running point of view, if you've got a bit of a heavy foot landing on the floor, it tends to take time. It responds slowly, therefore under impact, under tension for a more prolonged period of time. So we want to try and practice some reactive training, some plyometrics, and get that connection really swift, really crisp. And then finally, we want to go into the main set, which is your kind of multi-joint, multi-muscle action exercises where we're working. It's not about lifting weights and getting big at all. It's more a case of doing movements which allow all these muscles to work together, so that we're basically increasing your muscular endurance so that you can hold your posture for longer. And if you hold your posture for longer, you can hold your form for longer. And if you hold your form, then generally you tend to do it quicker. So it's a recipe for success. But we fully understand it's not something that might initially be on your top priority list, but please try and do your strength and conditioning, because then I do believe that you'll swim, you'll bike, and you'll run more effectively afterwards.